Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Stephanie. I'm Stephanie Bookman, your host, and I am so excited and delighted to be interviewing my friend and colleague, Hailey Baker, today. Hailey, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to get into this conversation. We have been discussing collaboration for a few months now.
Good.
Now, Haley is one of our beautiful business members of the Integrative Wellness Collective, and she's based in South Dakota. So she was our very first member to sign up outside of the Arizona area. Super exciting. And I just can't even tell you how excited I am about her business because of what she does. So let's get into these questions. First, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be involved in the work of mediumship and helping others through your gifts?
I'd love to. Growing up, I always saw things and people and heard things that I thought everybody else experienced. But it wasn't until I was 19 doing a tarot reading at a friend's house where I found out that I had the mediumship ability and that not everybody else did. I was doing a tarot reading for my friend. He had a roommate there. Reading wasn't coming out for my friend, it was coming out for his roommate who had a friend of his and somebody that was in his barrack when he was in the Marines pass away while they were overseas. And his friend that had passed away was attached to him. And I was getting this reading on this guy that was attached to him. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I didn't know he was a Marine at the time. I didn't know any of his history. I just knew what his name was and, that we like to joke around when he'd be there. But he was very rarely there. So we end up doing this reading and we end up helping his friend cross over. And that's what started my mediumship understanding that, whoa, okay, this is not everybody can do this. Let's dive in and figure it out. So that's really when that started. In 2021, I opened a metaphysical shop that was strictly online and in person, like with me for readings, and started doing tarot readings. That was my best-selling product, was the tarot readings. And then in 2022, I did a tarot reading on a missing persons case, closed my metaphysical shop the next day, and started medium for the missing.
Wow. And so you've been doing, you're literally finding the missing people in this world. Do you find more children or is it more adults or is it kind of a mix?
It's kind of a mix. I have had numerous people reach out to me to get involved in cases. Some cases I've had that have come to me that want me to take it on. I'll do their case intake. So we do a reading for a case intake. They don't like what I'm telling them that I'm getting from spirit and from the spirit themselves or the spirit team of that person if said person is alive. And so then they'll be like, well, I don't want to move forward with you doing the private investigations because I learned how to do the private investigations, especially for cold cases and missing persons cases after I started medium for the missing and took a good chunk of 4 months to figure all that out and get the certifications and stuff like that. Um,
Nice.
and so it varies. My first official solved case was a child. It was an Amber Alert earlier this year, and that was very tough. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
also very rewarding to be able to do that and have the ability to do that and to assist with that. And so,
Absolutely. And you get to bring people home that are still alive. That's
yeah,
awesome. Uh, so my other question about this is, have you ever encountered finding someone that has passed away?
yeah, yep. So my Amber Alert was a deceased. Uh, and so that's why it was so hard to
Yeah.
handle. As for my other two officially solved cases, they were both alive and brought home safe and sound. And so they were adult males. There's something about adult males that doesn't sit right with our society about them going missing. You see women go missing all the time, and it kind of just floats on by. But if an adult male in his 20s or 30s goes missing, the whole world is shocked and is looking and is wondering.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's sad to see that, but that's why I love what I do, is because I can change that stigma and I can work on any case.
Absolutely. So, the series that we've been talking about is called Demystifying Magic. And I mean, this is a part of the series that the Integrated Wellness Collective is talking about for the community. to talk about wellness and talk about how we have these practices that allow us to be more whole, more healed, and more authentic.
Mhm.
And so I love this conversation. So, what inspired you to create Demystifying Magic?
So when I started digging into my mediumship abilities, I also started digging into magic or witchcraft. My bloodline is Celtic paganism and medicine women, and I've got Nordic Viking, I've got Swedish Viking, I've got all these different bloodlines that all practice some sort of magic. I just last night I heard a term, and I you might have to cut this out. But religion is for people that are scared of hell, and spirituality is for people who have been to hell and gone through
Hmm,
hell. And spirituality encompasses witchcraft, it encompasses magic.
for sure.
We have a very negative connotation with the term magic. And that didn't start until the Greco-Roman era, especially in the late Roman era, where magic was first outlawed. That's when it first
Yeah.
really started.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that was religious sects that really made it so, right? So yeah, I mean, we have had a long journey as women, as healers, as what people called witches. I did a post on Facebook recently about persecution and how the people who were burned at the stake were women. They were women first, and some of them were not even practicing. Maybe they were acting crazy, maybe they were hysterical, maybe they had specific practices, herbal medicine or something that made them different, that made people think which I've always had a problem with. And I don't understand it, but I also know that we've come a long way. And we're at a point now in 2024, we're at a point now that people are more awake and they're recognizing that some of these practices are nature, are universal practices that came from centuries ago that actually have value in our day-to-day life. So I love this conversation.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is the demystifying magic part. You really everybody hears magic and they're like, that's bullshit. Or they just get this guttural ugh. And then you have this healing spiritual community where energy that we all work with when we do energetic healings, when we do chakra work, when we do shadow work, when we do ancestral work or Akashic records, that's all energy magic. You
Absolutely.
are technically an energy witch. And it's really with where we sit in society today, everybody waking up to all these things and everybody wanting to become involved. Uh, it's something where I know there's a lot of misinformation out there. I've seen so much misinformation and I've seen it go haywire on a lot of people. Some people might be scrolling through TikTok and see somebody put together a little spell jar, and the spell jar that they're putting together doesn't have the right correspondences. Um, and so being able to, because within my craft and within my mediumship, even when I do my tarot readings, I read energy. It's all about energy. And so being able to provide not only the factual knowledge, but the wisdom and the guidance to people on how to navigate wanting to work with the different elements or wanting to work with, herbs, wanting to work with tarot cards. Being able to dig into that, you really have to demystify magic because you can't do any of that without doing so.
Absolutely. If you have a limiting belief about it and you're practicing, then it's going to turn into whatever your limiting belief is. That's something I know about our consciousness and how we get stuck. Absolutely. Totally other conversation, maybe for another day.
Yes.
But let's talk a little more about the title. So, I mean, this title is very intriguing. How would you describe magic in the context of these workshops? So we're going to go into demystifying this. So what we talked about is doing an introduction. So
Mhm.
how would you introduce these concepts?
Um, yeah, so really it's gonna be a deep dive into the historical, practical, and spiritual aspects to magic, and magical practices. Blending, modern interpretations with traditions that have been around since ancient Mesopotamia. Um, it's going to open the doorways for seasoned practitioners and for beginner novices. Um, as for using the term magic, it stems from where it comes from. If you look at the history of magic, which is what the first course is, it is just a deep dive into the history, the lore, the types, the traditions, the closed practices like hoodoo, voodoo, root work, Haitian magic, all of, indigenous magic, which isn't indigenous magic, it's indigenous practices, but digging into what's closed and what's not, so that you're not going through your days where maybe you're cleansing your house with a smudging ceremony, that you
Right.
aren't a part of that religion, to learn that when you're doing those things, it's not going to do what you want it to do because of that. And so it's really digging into the facts of it and digging into the practicality of it so that people are more knowledge and can be more respectful with it, because I think that's part of our world today where we see such a
Mm.
negative this, that, and the other, with everything. And if we want to really be a collective where we're pushing out healing, we have to come from a place where we're knowledged in where it comes from.
Yes, absolutely agree. So, who do you think would benefit most from attending these workshops? And do participants need any prior knowledge or experience with mediumship or spirituality to participate?
Any person that is wanting to see the betterment of our society, see the betterment in their own personal lives, their personal relationships, any person that is interested. If this intrigues you, if it piques your interest, whether you have been practicing energetic healing for 30 years or you're a Reiki master, this is going to benefit you. You don't have to be those things. You could just be some mojo blow off the street that doesn't know anything about healing, doesn't know anything about any of it. That knowledge is power, wisdom is power. And all this is going to do is open the discussion and open the knowledge. It's going to create a way for you to understand things.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And could you give us a sneak peek into some of the workshop themes?
I'd love to. Um, so, like I said, with the first workshop, it's really going to be diving into the origins and the lore. Then you have, sorry, I have my dog next to me and my computer is plugged in. So then you have the sides of it where we're going to dive into the different elements. So if you don't know what those elements are, you've got fire, wind, water, air, and then ether or spirit. So we're going to
Mhm.
take a course and dive into all those different specifics and how to work with those things, the different kinds of practices, that come along with those elements, the benefits that they have for you. Um, if you are looking to transform things in your life, you're going to want to come to that fire session. If you are wanting to grow your intuition and heal your emotions and learn how to deal with your emotions more, if you want to work with the moon phases, you're going to want to come to the water session. With the earth side of it, grounding is huge. We grounded before we started this call, and being able to work with the earth element of that, is huge. For air, if you want to communicate better, if you want to have clarity of thought, a clarity of your speech, clarity of your ideas, that's going to be where you're going to want to go. And then as for the unity of it all, that's your ether, that's your spirit, that's that sixth session. We're not going to cover back, we'll cover maybe a couple basics for each element just to refresh the memory, but we're not going to cover the deep dive that we're going to do in each of these hour-long sessions prior to this unity of it all. When you combine all four elements into one, you become the magician, you become the master. And I say magician as in tarot. And so I'm going to keep the last two workshops a secret because those are going to be the most fun, in my opinion. I have so much
Awesome.
planned and so much excitement to share and so many interactive ways to grow, but you're going to want the knowledge from the first six sessions.
For sure. For sure. So you're recommending that people attend all of the sessions.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's,
Yes. I totally agree. It's a package, right?
well, it's the thing with it is it's a bi-weekly thing. We're not hosting this Monday morning, 8 a.m. every single week, back to back to back, and you won't be able to access it.
Right.
It's going to be end of the week, after work, a day where typically nobody has a whole lot going on, from my
Right.
knowledge. And if it doesn't work for you, once the courses are done, there will be a way to purchase them. Um,
Yes.
but why wait? Why not do it now? Because really, if we're stuck
Yes.
at
Well,
work,
and the beauty of being live is you get to ask those questions that are burning questions that, if you watch a recording, it's going to take a while for Hailey to respond to your question.
mm,
So
yeah,
note
especially,
that.
yeah, that's especially, I'm hoping I'll have somebody, whether they're online or they're here in person with me, to be able to navigate any questions that are coming up in chats, um, and being able to stop what I'm doing to answer those questions in a timely manner so that you can get the understanding. When you're learning
Yes.
something new, think of it like college or school. When you were learning something, was it easier when you had your teacher there in person to ask that question right there when you had the question, or was it easier to write it down and wait to maybe get a response on a question or to not
Right.
get full clarity anymore? Um,
Yeah.
and so it's definitely going to be fun. It's not going to be something that you see a lot of. Uh, it's going to be
Yeah.
unique and very,
Speaking of which, so how do you create a safe and supportive space for people who are exploring these sensitive topics or unfamiliar topics like mediumship or mysteries of the spirit world?
yeah. We're going to touch on a lot of things that some people might be put off by. That's okay. It's, like I said, unique. It's things that you're not knowledged in, so it's going to be uncomfortable no matter what. Whether it's comfortably uncomfortable in a positive manner or it's uncomfortable and you feel like it's negative. Uncomfortability brings
Growth.
great things. It brings growth, it brings
Yes.
knowledge, it brings healing. Um, and you're going to come out of this not only with new wisdom, but so in connection with your elements, with yourself, with the abilities that you have as a healer and all the different ways that you can heal things and grow. It's not going to be, oh, we're going to send out curses. No, we don't do that. Um,
Yeah.
I don't do that. I don't teach that. Are we going to talk about where they come from? Yes. That'll be in our first one. And it's
Hmm.
not going to be something that continues into the farther topics.
Hmm.
But maybe,
So this is, sorry, it's more about like practices for yourself, practices to improve your life,
yeah,
practices to enhance your life, practices to enhance your business or your work. So it's not going to be practices that are going to be a detriment to you.
yeah. And I suppose I'll give a little bit of a sneak peek into one of the last two workshops, but I'm not telling you which one it is.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes people will just have it out for you. Words speak to power, and your words are your power. And so if somebody says something to you that's very negative, you're going to learn how to protect yourself from that and have wards up for that in your home to ward yourself from any of the negative things that could be affecting you. In that way, you're going to learn how to cleanse and create a divine space for yourself and for those around you.
That's beautiful. And that speaks directly to creating safe space, not only during the workshops, but for yourself. That's
Mhm.
beautiful. How do you feel about the taboo and stigmatized nature of witchcraft and magic?
I like to break stigmas. People have a very big stigma around mediums working on missing persons cases.
Mm,
And breaking that stigma has been something huge. It was terrifying at first, but then doing it was so rewarding and continues to be so rewarding every single day. So breaking the stigma around what this magic connotation has with it, it really opens the pathways to learning different ways to heal, learning different ways to be prosperous, learning different ways to really connect with yourself and the world that we're in and to bring about the healing that we're all working for with the Integrative Wellness Collective.
for sure. Beautifully said. For people who may feel nervous or uncertain about participating, what would you say to them to encourage them to give Demystifying Magic series a try?
Reach out. If you have questions, reach out. I'm more than happy to answer questions. You're probably feeling nervous because your cognitive dissonance is telling you that this is wrong because of the stigma around the word magic. But that's why it's demystifying it. And we say demystifying because mysticism is part of magic, it's part of divination, it's part of any sort of energy work. And so pairing those up together, it's going to bring about, unless you are a seasoned practitioner, it's going to bring about some feelings. Um, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're not going to like the content. And I can assure you, this is what I wish I would have had when I didn't know any of it. Everything that I'm bringing to these is my heart and my soul, the things that I learned that have stuck with me from day one, and the things that I wish I would have known sooner.
Yeah. Okay. So are there any myths about magic, mediumship, or spiritual practice that you're hoping to debunk during this series?
So many.
Can you
One
give
of the
me an example?
one of the main ones being that being a witch or being a medium is sorcery and you're doing the devil's work. Um,
Hmm.
that's not true.
It's not
Um,
true. I completely
there,
disagree with that as well. Honestly, my perspective on that, being a psychic medium myself, I believe that these are gifts from God. I believe that I'm connected to spirit for a reason. It's not the devil's work. It
yeah,
doesn't make any sense. I'm a light worker.
yeah. And one of the biggest thing is like back when magic became negative, it went from being the only defense against ghosts, demons, evil, went from being the only defense against it to being separated from religion. There's a famous quote from Davies for the ancient Greeks, can't talk apparently, ancient Greeks and the subsequently ancient Romans. And magic was not distinct from religion, but rather an unwelcome, improper expression of it, the religion of other. And that's really where that negative connotation started because people didn't understand it.
Right.
Um,
And the otherness. I put myself into the fringe of society as a vegan yogi who practices psychic mediumship and Reiki, and I carry crystals with me and I use sage and I do all these practices. And interestingly enough, I've never dove in to witchcraft, even though a lot of what I do has the elements of witchcraft, the elements of magic. So I'm excited about the series because I'm going to be learning things.
yeah.
So personally, as a healer, I think this is something that's really attractive because it's expanding my understanding of the way energy, the way earth and the elements work, and the way that all of the things fit together and bring a better practice, a better lifestyle. So that's super exciting.
Okay, so I'm going to drop a truth bomb on you that every other healer that's going to watch this is going to need to know. If you are a healer, you are a witch. If you use energy, herbs, if you use different, what some would like say magical practices, if you read tarot, if you do astrology, if you cook and you use specific herbs because they have these health benefits, you are practicing witchcraft. And that's what this series is about, is demystifying this term magic so that you can understand that you are a witch of some sort. Whether there's
Mhm,
so many different types of witches, it's insane. And you don't have to be just one. Um, that's the beautiful
mhm.
thing about eclectic witches like myself. We pull from all these different kitchen witchery, from astrology. We pull from all these different things, but you are intentionally putting something out there with the intention of it healing or bettering or bringing knowledge. You are a witch. So
Mhm.
I'm glad to
Lovely.
drop your truth bomb and everybody else's that everybody's a witch. um,
That's awesome. So, let's see. What are some of the most common questions or misconceptions that people have about mediumship and connecting to the unseen?
is it real? Which, yes, it's very real. a lot of misconception that goes around mediumship, that I would love to be able to just rid the world of, but I can't, because just because magic is real doesn't mean I could snap my fingers and make it stop. People have their own free will and are going to choose to do it. Is that you can call in a specific spirit and that spirit's going to come there. Um, I refuse to make a spirit speak to me. I refuse to force a spirit to come forward. We could be sitting here and you would say, "Oh, well, I'd like my, I don't know, great grandfather to come forward." We can put the intention of that out there, but I can't guarantee that. I
Yeah.
can't force him forward. And mediums that are out here doing that, I don't foresee it as a way of naturally and ethically doing it. Maybe they have a way to do it, but I've only ever seen it done in a non-ethical way. I'm not
Mm.
saying that it's not
Yeah.
possible, but I've only ever seen it done in a non-ethical way. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so that's one big, very, very, very big misconception that there is around mediumship. Another one would be that I can turn it on and off all the time, and that I don't just like go to the grocery store and am fine. It takes a lot for me to go out in public and do things in the public, because everywhere I go, my channel is open. I've only ever had to turn it off once in my life, and that was for the worst 5 days of my life. And that was just because it was too much to handle. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I can echo that. I learned, I mean, at first when I started coming into my psychic skills, I learned that being an empath was scary and messy and dangerous and painful. And that was what I learned as a 20-year-old. And in the environment of going like to a shopping mall or a concert and being surrounded by all of that energy, I would be bombarded by energy and I would have to leave
Mhm.
because I would get overwhelmed. What I've learned in my older years, because I've matured now as a psychic medium and I understand energy. I understand because I can hold a bigger container now. I can step into a room full of people and all of their energy and all of their spirit guides and all of their souls that have passed on that are attached to them. And I can be there with all of those people and still hold space for all of them. So there's a
Mhm.
difference now in my ability. And that's been because I've pressed into it and I've asked questions and I've allowed myself to grow. I've allowed myself to um, challenge those limitations. And that's really, I mean, that's largely what we're talking about here is challenging limitations that have been placed upon us as humans.
Yeah,
And I propose that we remove those limitations and be
that's
more free about what we
exactly what we're doing.
practice. Yeah.
And that's why we've always gotten along and why we've always wanted to collaborate on something. And it was just finding what that exact niche was that we would be able to bring it to the collective in a positive way. And I'm
Yes.
so, so glad that it finally came to us. It
Me
just,
too.
it just
Absolutely.
needed time.
Yep. Okay. So let's see. What's our next question? Hmm. Well, what are you hoping that attendees will take away from these workshops on a personal or spiritual level?
If nothing else, wisdom. And if nothing else, peace with whatever negative connotions they have around practicing witchcraft, or magic in and of itself. You have two types of
Mm,
magic. You have magic that is all about energy work and using your personal power combined with the earth and the universe's power to create a positive change. And
mhm,
then magic like Houdini. Um, those are magicians and they practice a learned skill set of almost playing a game. It's just
mhm,
a skilled poker player can put on their poker face. A magician like Houdini just knows how to get out of traps and how to bring about illusions. That's not what a magic is.
right,
That's not what my
right.
magic is. And that's not what the magic is that we're demystifying here. We won't touch on that at all in the series. We will only be touching on the ability to combine your power with the universe and Earth's power to create a positive change.
Nice. Okay. How do you see demystifying magic workshops fitting into the broader goals of the Integrative Wellness Collective and its mission?
I think that it's going to open a lot of doors to people, and healers of different sorts, whether you are a massage therapist or you are a Reiki master. For me, what got me into herbal practicing and working with herbs was I got a back injury in 2020. I lost feeling in my legs for 6 months and was in horrible, horrible pain for years. And back in 2021, 2022, 2022, at the beginning of 2022, I had finally started to like buy herbs to do like spell jars.
Hmm.
And then I was like, I wonder if I could do a massage oil for my back. And it took me a couple batches to really make the blend how I like it, but it has given me my feeling back in my legs, along with other topical applications of like CBD. But my massage oil, when I'm hurting really bad, I put it on and I'm immediately better. I get very bad sweat
Wow.
in my body and it all goes away. It smells delicious too. It's all natural. It's just carrier oil mixed with the herbs, and it, you have to let it cook together basically or infuse.
Right.
But being able to learn those things, being able to learn how to easily ground yourself without having to go through all these different meditations and things, and how to just take a breath, and you can visibly, or visualize, I should say, is probably the correct term to use, yourself connecting to the earth and connecting to your higher self in a
Yeah.
matter of that.
Seconds. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. When I sit down to do a reading, that's largely what I do is I take a breath and I get connected and open up. It takes what, 20 seconds,
Yeah.
and I laugh at other psychic mediums that have to go through some kind of uh thing to get
Mhm.
connected to spirit. It's all an act, I think. But personally, I do not have that practice. People come in to see me and they're like, okay, so what is your practice? I'm like, well, we sit down, we get grounded, we open up, and we have a conversation. Like that's my practice. Yeah, but it's thank you. So with the collective, what I see in the expansion of teaching magic or debunking magic is that we start to bring in practices that allow the healers who are served by this collective to be more whole, to be more real in their practice, to be more wise, and to give them a support system. Now, it's not just for healers, though. I mean, our wellness workshop series is for our community and for
Mhm.
the global community. It's not just the people in Arizona. This is an online series. So anyone, anywhere around the world could attend this series and participate. And like Hailey said, there will be a way that you can purchase it after the series is over. So we will be taking recordings. We will be offering it as a package later on. So that's a beautiful opportunity for even future learning if you can't attend the series now. That's something that I feel is a big part of what the collective is doing as our mission. Not only for the members helping members initiative to help each other, but the initiative to heal the world, to be more whole as a community, as our global community, raise our consciousness, to raise our vibrations, to create more peace and more love on this planet. So honestly, like all of it feeds all of that. So that is something that from my heart, I absolutely love about this. This is the first of many workshop series. So we'll have all kinds of great workshops that we'll be offering coming from all kinds of different directions. I mean, personally, I've been reading A Course in Miracles, and we're going to be starting a study group for the Course in Miracles talking about Christ consciousness. It's a completely different conversation, still about spirituality.
Mhm.
But the other thing we're talking about is a spiritual book club, like reading spiritual books and having conversations about these things. So we're expanding consciousness. We're allowing people to grow. We're allowing people to move toward uh, a better understanding about how things work in the world.
Mhm. Oh, I agree. And, let me ask you this. Is there a time in your life that you wish you had more money, or you wish you had more peace, or you wish you had an ability to just shake a jar and make things kind of fix themselves.
Mhm.
You're going to learn those things here. Like the consciousness. And I love that you said that, because your conscience, you have to change that mindset, and shifting your mindset, it provides an opportunity for that above anything else.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Hmm. So, after participating in your workshops, what kind of ongoing support or resources might people find helpful as they continue their journey?
So not only, like you said, I'm sure there'll be more workshops in the future that we'll touch into within the collective, but I'm currently working on my online community and coursework, the art of intuition. The art of intuition is really going to break down everything that we're going to touch on, especially within the history and the different practices. But it's going to be coursework on, if you want to study this specific topic, here's your coursework. Now, here's a community of people that are also interested in this. Here's a
Yeah.
community of people that are interested in just the art of intuition in and of itself, because intuition ties into magic, it ties into all witchcraft, it ties into all divination practices, it ties into all healing, it ties into all energy work, it ties into all past life readings, talking with
Mhm.
ancestors, walking those paths. It ties into the overall wellness that the collective is bringing. And so that'll all be hopefully published by the end of the year and put out there. Of course, new courses will get added once it's started. I have the basic frameworks for all of my courses, but building that when you're not a web designer is horrible. Um, so it's taking
I feel
time,
your pain.
but
Yep, yep.
are getting it through. And so, and the thing is like I said, like there will be availability to reach out to me personally on these topics that we talk about, and for the support going forward, between the art of intuition and just in the coursework in and of itself. When you buy the package deal, it's you're not going to have that on demand. Here's this, there will be
Yeah.
a specific number attached to these courses where you'll be able to reach out and shoot me a text and say, hey, I'm a little confused. Can you explain this to me
Hmm.
better? I was thinking
Right
about,
on.
you know, and so,
Yeah. Beautiful. Now, I also want to mention if you're curious about any of these subjects, you can certainly dive into the YouTube community and ask questions because there are thousands of people that are exploring these topics, and you can get all kinds of perspectives
yeah,
about how this stuff works. Uh, okay, so how can people connect with you after the workshops? Now, you mentioned that they can text you. You have a website?
yep. It's mftm.site.
mftm.site. Okay, that will be in the links below. You have an email address.
Yep. That'll be Hailey, Hailey .mftm at Outlook.
Okay. Okay. And you're on the socials.
Yep. So you can find me on Facebook as Medium for the Missing. It's a profile, not a page, not a group. If you put in the link into your browser, it's Medium for the Missing 2022 is for that extension part of it. You can find me on LinkedIn, Hailey Baker. You can find me various other places. Just look up Medium for the Missing, and Google will start bringing all of the different ways to connect with me up for sure.
Fantastic. Now, Haley and I actually met through a company out here in Tempe called Alliances. Now, if you're a business owner, that's another place where you can connect with Haley and myself. And another wonderful place to build your business and build your network.
And I chair
Yes,
the connectors committee with Alliances. And so definitely a way to reach out, not only in the business aspect, but in the personal spiritual realm as well.
for sure. For
I'm
sure.
so glad we're finally collaborating.
Me too. Okay, so finally, is there anything that you'd like our listeners to know about Demystifying Magic series or your work as medium for the missing?
Um, some people might wonder why, when I'm, a medium and a PI and I'm working missing persons cases, why I would want to take time to do this. Really, in the age that we live in, with so much AI, with so much misinformation going out there, I hate to see the misinformation going out there. If I
Mm,
could move my computer easily and show you my bookshelf on the other side of my room right now, just to show you the amount of research and knowledge that I've put into the last 4 or 5 years of my life, it would give you a greater insight as to why. Um, but I want to see people getting the right information. And I would love to be able to help them to grow in their own craft and to understand themselves better and to build their own self up. Um, that's what I'm here for, is also to just help build up not only the world, but individuals in this, in this world that we live in today. And so
yes.
I look forward to
Yeah.
it. Forward to everybody that decides to participate. I look forward to those who decide to participate later. And I appreciate every single person that's willing to step outside of their comfort zone or step into their comfort zone if they're already a practitioner, and learn more and come on this journey with me and you and the collective for demystifying magic.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Haley. This has been so much fun.
I agree. I look forward to it.